Hello and welcome to Cricbuzz Live. I'm Gaurav Kapoor. I'm joined by Jonathan Trott and Shakib Al-Hassan. Sorry for the confusion. It's a little early in the morning, but there is no confusion for Afghanistan today. It's very simple. They need to win. That's about it. We'll get to that, but let's properly introduce our guests for today. We've got Mr. Joy Bhattacharya back and Michael Vaughan, who is celebrating 85 runs that Archie, your son, scored and a wicket. So lots to celebrate for you that Australia lost yesterday. Your son got 85 and a wicket.
And England is qualified in the Euros.
And England's qualified.
I enjoyed yesterday. I mean, I don't know which was at the top of the list. I mean, Australia losing was quite near the top.
Wow.
Yeah, good performance from India, but this is a great chance for Afghanistan to reach the semi-finals. They've played well enough. If you're looking at the whole tournament and you're looking at teams that have been consistently playing good cricket, you mean South Africa have played good cricket and kind of won some close games. India have been the standout by a country mile, but you'd say Afghanistan, in terms of consistency, have played great. So they deserve to be in this position, but it's all about the pressure now. Can they cope with this one-off game in St. Vincent, win the game? They're in the semi-finals.
Before we get to this very, very important game, there is the instruction is the show cannot carry on unless Joyda doesn't do a Good Morning Mumbai that Vidya Balan used to do in Lage Raho Munna Bhai. So that's the instruction given to me, Joyda.
Look, I have no idea. I'm Good Morning Mumbai, Delhi. Good morning Mumbai. I can't
Well
cope
done.
with that.
Well done. See, that's the energy he's
I like
he's
your
had.
cricket sweater. You've come in your cricket white, so you've had enough of T20 cricket.
I've come in my cricket whites. Actually, it's this time in the morning when we watch cricket is usually, I remember my school days when I used to try and bunk school, wake up to watch India, New Zealand, India, Australia. It's cold in India at that point, so I used to have a sweater on. So I said that this is the feeling I'm getting. I've woken up for a nice test match, but clearly it's not a test match today because Afghanistan need to win this. We'll have a look at our scenarios.com. It's very simple, Joyda.
Yeah. I think the only complication is for Bangladesh. For them to win, they've got to beat Afghanistan by 62 runs or 42 balls, assuming that, of course, Afghanistan score 160. But otherwise, it's simple. Afghanistan wins, they go through. Bangladesh win. Normally, under most circumstances, Australia goes through. And I think that's the thing. The match is set up. Even, looking at it, Shakib Al-Hassan himself is saying that may be just too far from us. So I think they're looking at it. But for them, it's important to get a face-saving win for them to look at their World Cup and say, do they need to make a correction course? So I think they're there. It's here. I think Afghanistan, their minds are clear because these numbers and all, they don't need to think about. They just go there and finish it off.
Well, Michael, Australia is going to be supporting Bangladesh today. They'll be up watching this game, wanting to support them. But Afghanistan and the journey they've had, every year they come in, they seem to get better. They were very close in the 23 World Cup. Unfortunately, Glenn Maxwell took it away from them. This time around wasn't meant to be for Australia. So every time they come in, they get better. What has impressed you the most with their campaign?
Oh, I mean, they've got a good set of players. I mean, I kind of chuckle to myself when people start, saying, oh, Afghanistan have beaten Australia, it's a big shot. Well, it's actually not. On these kind of wickets, the slow nature of the surfaces, they've got a bowling attack in particular that matches any, really, with the skill sets. They've got all the tricks. They've got the left arm, they've got the right arm, they've got pace. They've got all the spin options. I thought against Australia, they were excellent in the field. I guess that's one of the things that you could pinpoint. When they lost to Australia in Mumbai in the 50-over World Cup, the fielding just was a little bit scatty, it was a bit panicky. Well, in St. Vincent, when the pressure was on, they took some great catches. Gulbadin with his 4 wickets and that flying catch, he showed his muscles. They've got good players, but ultimately, would you have expected them to reach the semi-finals? We'd have sat here 2 weeks from whenever the tournament started. It feels a long time ago, but I can't imagine many would have said Afghanistan would have reached the semi-finals, and this is their moment. Now the pressure's on because when they played Australia just the other day, I don't think many would have, at the start of the game, said, oh, the favourites to win that game. They are favourites to win this.
Yes.
And sometimes when you're favourites, it's a lot harder to play. So can they produce the same kind of performance, same intensity? Can they get themselves up again? Because when you win a big game, your adrenaline's so high, and then you're back on the same venue a couple of days later. You've got to try and get that same intensity straight back again. So they've been terrific. I like their coaching staff. I like Jonathan Trott, who seems to be very, very calm. I love Dwayne Bravo. I love them in the bus, singing Champion
Yes.
to Dwayne. It's Great to see. They've clearly got a nice camaraderie and a spirit, and they've got a captain in Rashid Khan who's just a wonderful cricketer and a very, very good captain.
Well, Michael, I might tell you that they have won the toss, Afghanistan, and they are going to be batting first on this ground. The 4 teams that have batted first have won. So, Joyda, clear advantage for them. Rashid at the toss said that they feel very honoured, they're very happy, and the team is very pumped, just like everyone at Cricbuzz Live this morning.
No, absolutely. And I think you look at it the way they play their cricket. I think if you look at T20 ascendancy, the easiest way to judge it is not just by domestic international performances, because very often teams like West Indies don't get their best tournament players except for a World Cup. But what you need to judge them is how many of their players are playing T20 cricket around the world. And you just look at what Afghanistan has done. Naveen Ul Haq, Fazal Haq Farooqi, Rashid and Nabi have been there forever. Zadran is playing, every one of them, Gurbaz is playing, and all of them are playing pretty high-level leagues. So when we talk about this not being an experienced side, this is a very experienced side in the amount of top-level cricket they played. It's like, it's now exactly the cricket equivalent of club football. You're playing club football for the best countries. So that's exactly what's happening. If you look at the same time, look at the number of, the countries that you compare them with, or they were supposed to be compared with somebody like a Sri Lanka.
Yes.
Or somebody like a Bangladesh. The number of Bangladeshi or Sri Lankan players playing outside compared to the number of Afghan players playing outside, you'll see the difference. And you'll immediately know that this is not an upset. I mean, if you look at this format and these skills, Afghanistan, even before winning the toss, go in as favourites.
Yes.
Well, you actually look at these 2 teams and you'd say, OK, let's put both teams on paper. How many of the Bangladeshi players would get in the Afghanistan team? There wouldn't be many.
Good point there. Yeah. Well, we'll have a look at Afghanistan's 11 and see if they have any changes for today. Well, they haven't gone ahead with any change. And
very interesting. So they've stayed with their Karote.
Yes.
I mean, their left-arm spinner. And just look at those bowling options out there. You start all the way. Naib, Omar Zain, Nabi, Jannat, Karote, Rashid, Noor, Naminul, Fazalak. Basically, all 9 of them, they have 9 bowlers.
9 bowlers, and which is what you were saying as well, Michael. It's almost like they can go to anyone. Rashid can throw the ball to anyone. The other night, usually they're so dependent on spin, but the other night they had Gulbadin come and be the superstar of the team. But otherwise, they can get 16 overs out of spin. So they have more options, Joyda, than an Indian sari shop, because they can go and throw the ball around to anyone.
I love that. More version than Indian, more options, absolutely. No, absolutely. And just the quality of data, and very different kind of bowlers.
Yes.
You have a normal leggy, you have a left arm leggy, you have somebody who's an orthodox bowler, somebody who's bowling cross seam, somebody who's very clever with the ball up front. You have left arm going across and also being able to shape it back in Fazalak. The variety is absolutely stunning, and also the skills. Even if you have, say, 2 right arm fast medium bowlers, Naveen Hook's skills, his ability to change of pace, his ability to take the ball away, just fantastic bowling options.
If you just get those numbers again back on the screen, you just look at how experienced they are. Look at the amount of games they've played. Yeah. I mean, obviously the 2 at the top are the standout, but when your least experienced players play 22 games. 22 games is a decent amount. I mean, you look at the amount of games that and the amount of wickets that they've got. And where they're all very, very good is that they're not just one-trick ponies. They all can do the variations. All the seamers can bowl with pace on. They can bowl the different skill sets in terms of slow balls. They can go wide. They can go straight. I guess 1 or 2 of them can't bowl the heavy bouncer, but that's absolutely fine. They've got so many tricks and releases with their slow balls, which makes it very, very difficult for a batter to set up a bowling attack. Because Rashid's just got, he'll be looking around going, who? Who should I surprise and win next? He's got so many options, and in T20 cricket, the more options that you have as a captain, the easier it can be out in the field.
This is pretty precise with what Michael's saying, because in T20 cricket, this almost feels like the X factor that Afghanistan have, Joyda, because the matchups that we talk about, they can completely derail those matchups with the options they have.
They can manipulate matchups. They can totally manipulate matchups. They can afford to do. If you remember, India was stuck a bit yesterday because they didn't have that 3rd seamer. And so they were forced to bowl a couple of overs. Hardik had to keep bowling at one end because of fast bowling, because the wind was not allowing spinners to bowl from that end. So that kind of problem these guys will never have. Given the kind of lineup that they have, they just have so many options in each category that they will never get stuck into that kind of a position. And it's important because these also you have to say that this is a bowling attack very, very suited to pitches that are not too fast. I mean, if you play against Australia or against pitches that are really fast and pitches that are really bouncy, perhaps the kind of variations they have, will not show up that much. Somebody like a Naib or a Karim Jannat, they're still very quality bowlers you'll have, but the rest of them will not be that good, an Omar Zai or a Jannat or a Naib. But in these conditions, they are very good bowlers.
Well, and you look at the semi-final they'll be playing, will be Trinidad.
Again,
a slow
same
pitch.
kind of track.
You look at Barbados, the final, slow pitch, be plenty of spin, day game. I just think this reminds me of 1996 in Sri Lanka. This is
big call.
Big call. They're going to be playing South Africa if they do. So
yeah, and I think a South African side is they're playing decent cricket, but I think I tweeted yesterday, I get nervous watching South Africa.
they take it too close.
They're almost playing with us as an audience. Maybe that's what they are. They're becoming the entertainers. They want to keep us all on the edge of their seats. But, Afghanistan shouldn't be fearful of anybody that they play going forward.
Well, South Africa reminds me of my old driver. He used to brake so close to the car that I used to almost feel like I'm going to crash every time, but I haven't. We'll have a look at Bangladesh's team and see what changes they have for today's game. Shanto at the toss said that they have a small chance and they're going to grab it. But Joyda, 2 changes, Soumya Sarkar and Taskin Ahmed in.
Taskin is interesting, yeah. So they've replaced Mehdi Hassan, the off-spinner.
So
they've gone in with a fast bowler instead of an off-spinner. For a pitch which is actually quite supposed to be slow. Arnav Sohail is not the fastest of pitches. Soumya Sarkar gives you everything because he bats also. I think what they've done is they've extended their batting also because and Soumya Sarkar is supposed to be, or at one time was their so-called, could hit the ball a long way, had some amount of power. I think what they've been searching for, and I think they've been looking combination, is searching for power. And I think what they've done is Soumya Sarkar is batting out of position, but I think they're just giving themselves another hitting option with Mahmudullah out there and saying that, look, we can't have 5, we can't afford to have 6, 7 bowlers. 5 bowlers need to do it for us. I think that's where they're going.
Michael, you were talking about how many of the Bangladeshis will make it into an Afghanistan team and just the gap that Bangladesh have. This is what their captain had to say about the gap that they have between the former captain Shakib Al Hasan had to say between the bigger teams. I don't know how long it will take. The decision of the decision makers is important here, like in what perspective we want to see our team. If you look at our performance on the ground, we couldn't show any fight. When we played with 2 big teams, Australia and India, our gap with them was very clearly visible. It's disappointing to me that we still have such huge gaps.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess the biggest gap, I don't think I think they've got a couple of good bowlers, but I don't think they have a group of bowlers like we see from Afghanistan and some of the other teams. And I don't think they have the power. I think they're a 150 team, really. Even on a good pitch, I think they look a 150 team. And if like a pitch in St Vincent that's maybe a 130 pitch, they've got a chance. I think it's that kind of pitch today that will suit the batting lineup that Bangladesh have, but they've got to try and find some power. When they came onto the scene many, many years ago, I think we're all expecting Bangladesh to do what Afghanistan have done, and that'll be the challenge for Bangladesh cricket. Now Afghanistan have kind of come up the rails. I think the likes of Sri Lanka and Bangladesh now have to do something with their cricket because they know that Afghanistan are coming out, and I'm sure Afghanistan have got many, many young players coming through the system because they've got role models. They've got really great role models that the next generation can follow. But looking at Bangladesh, they just need to find some power. They need to get some youngsters in the gym pumping some iron to try and launch some sixes because in T20 cricket they have skill, they have some nice players, but they just don't have the power.
But Joyda, also, against the bigger teams, like Michael said, they've been playing cricket for the longest time. They have not managed to win. If you see 24 games against the biggest teams and no win there.
Absolutely. You see, he's absolutely right. And it's interesting because I feel that Bangladesh has done what we never expected them to do. They have a decent bowling attack today. If you look at Mustafizur is a decent bowler. Taskin, Tanzid, they have fast bowlers, they even have a leggy. They haven't had a leggy forever because their conditions really suit spinners, particularly left-arm spinners and offis, particularly suit finger spin. They've managed to get the tracks and at least have a half-decent bowling attack. But the batting, what has happened is every time they moved forward and they said, okay, these are the players we're going to use, a young kid or somebody. Somebody said that, oh, what's happened? We've lost another match. It's time to call back the veteran. Mahmudullah comes back to the team.
Yes.
Shakib went out. Shakib has been dusted off, brought back again into the team. Tamim Iqbal, everyone forgot about him. He's not a part of it anymore. So now to spite Shakib, somebody brings in Tamim Iqbal back. So a lot of that has happened. A lot of times they've moved forward seemingly saying that, okay, this is the direction we're going in. And then they've taken a U-turn and gone back. And I think the problem is just that any board member who's in a situation where they need short-term results to justify their job. Because see, if you're going to put youngsters in, you're going to lose for a while.
Yes.
Okay, that's going to happen. But if you don't trust them and give them a long enough run, if the moment you lose 2 or 3 matches, you're going to go back to the veterans. The veterans are now at the end of their career. I mean, Shakib doesn't want to play in teams like this. Shakib
And the under-19 team won the World Cup, but they've not been able to.
Their under-19s are quality. So you're kind of looking at Bangladesh, and eventually they will have to go through that transition of basically starting again.
Yes.
That's, and I guess a coach who would be given that opportunity would be a great challenge, to try and build Bangladesh. And I would say that probably the model to follow is Afghanistan.
Yes.
To try and follow what they've done and almost clear out some of the old stages that have been around for a long period. I know they're decent cricketers, good performers, but sometimes you have to start again.
But you look at the Afghan team.
I mean, you look at Afghanistan in this tournament, they've beaten Australia, they've beaten New Zealand. When you look at that stat of 24 games in T20 World Cups and Bangladesh have not beaten one of the top 6 teams, that is remarkable. For the talent that they've had over the years, to not win one game against a team that's in that top 6, when you think Afghanistan have beaten 2 already in this World Cup, that's not good enough from Bangladesh.
But Joyda, having said all this, something that I learned this IPL is do not rule the mathematical equations out because anything can happen, and Bangladesh still have that chance because if Afghanistan bat first, they managed to skittle them out early and then they chased this down in 10, 11 overs, they still have that chance.
Yeah, so it's 160. So if you go lower than that, it'll be lesser and lesser balls. So if they get them for about 120, I'll be interested in knowing how much they'll get. So I think they have a chance. They have to look at it that way. They have to look at it. They cannot, you have one of the most cricket crazy populations sitting in Bangladesh, more than 200 million people. And for them, you have to give it the old school try. They cannot afford to just win. They have to try and win it properly.
Yes.
And in that sense, batting first for Afghanistan, batting first suits them because now they've got to
get them out.
I'll be very interested from Afghanistan if the opening partnership, which has been so strong for them.
Yes.
If Bangladesh can get rid of those 2 openers early, say they're 10 for 2, I'd love to see what they do.
So, Michael, I want to ask you, 60 seconds, if you were the captain, what was the pep talk that you're going to be giving the Bangladeshi boys?
Well, they've got nothing to lose, so try and dangle that carrot. And in actual fact, Afghanistan are the team under pressure today. They are expected. So, if you're the skipper of the Bangladesh team, go and give it a right good crack. Try and put them under pressure, dangle the carrot early. You've got to field outstandingly, create a few opportunities in the field with a run out, a flying catch. And whatever Afghanistan get, I, in the back of my mind, would be thinking, well, chase them down quickly and try and get into the chance, that you want for your team. But fundamentally, you want to win a game. They haven't won, enough games in this World Cup. And if they can get back on the plane, having beaten Afghanistan, on the back of Afghanistan, playing some terrific cricket, at least you're getting back home with something. What you don't want is to get a hammering.
Yes.
You just don't want to get completely wiped from the floor. And they're doing it the hard way because why not be the first team to win chasing in St. Vincent? So,
absolutely.
Do it the hard way.
They haven't lost to Afghanistan in the World Cup. They've just played once, but the track record is that they've always beaten them.
Yeah, in fact, in T20 cricket, it's a pretty even track record. I think Afghanistan has won 3, they've won 2. So they were pretty equal. It's just that, you can see that their 2 pathways have gone in different directions right now. And I think that's what they're going to say. They're going to say, these guys, they're the Johnny-come-latelys. I mean, we remember Bangladesh what was a glory moments, 2007, when they beat India, when they reached the second stage. 2015, they beat England, they reached the quarters. I mean, they've had flashes, but they've never done it. And today, think about it, one match between them in the semis.
Absolutely.
One match. They just need one miracle and they can go to the semis.
And I reckon if they do beat Afghanistan today, pretty much every Bangladesh player will get an opportunity to go and play in Australia.
He's made the offer.
He's made the offer. But Michael, you'll be happy to know that there was a little bit of baseball involved in what Afghanistan did and the success that they've had. But the baseball here is Gurbaz ball.
Yes.
And what he's done at the top, of course, along with Zadran, but he's just been spectacular. Both of them have put on 300 run partnerships together. But he's not only been feisty, he's been aggressive, but he's also been very mature, is what Jonathan Trott said after the ODI World Cup, and he's pretty much shown that here as well.
Yeah, and also don't underestimate what the IPL does for a player like Gurbaz, who obviously is a champion, came into the side, KKR, did well towards the back end, replacing Phil Salt. And I just think being around the IPL and around the coaches, around the setup, the pressure of what the IPL brings, I just think it takes players to a different level. I'm seeing it with Phil Salt. You know, I think Phil Salt's game has come on leaps and bounds from just coming to India and playing well. And I just think it gives, I can imagine as a player individually, if you can cope with the IPL pressure, I think it gives you such a big boost. And he's a wonderful player. You know, he's a real quality batter that can hit all bowlers. You know, he's not one of those players that you just think, oh, if you bounce him, you know, I think you can challenge him. If you put a leg spinner on early to him, I think he's got a vulnerability, or a left-arm spinner. I think he's got a game against all the different skill sets that he comes up against. That's why he's so consistent.
Yes.
And that's why Afghanistan are in the position, because that opening partnership has really put pretty much most bowling attacks that they've faced under a huge amount of pressure. Can they do it under the ultimate pressure tonight? That's going to be the challenge. And I think Jonathan Trott, he'll be delighted with the way that they've played, but he'll be a little bit nervous.
Yes.
Because sometimes when an opening partnership has worked so well, in T20 cricket, I guess on the balance of probabilities, you think, well, they're going to fail eventually, you know. But they'll just be hoping tonight that they can get their team off to that flying. Look at that, three century partnerships, which is remarkable in T20. To get one in a World Cup is,
and against
is huge.
New Zealand and Australia, two of them also. So
yeah, that's big. That's tremendous. That's why they're, you know, if they can get anything like a pass score with that bowling attack, I think they'll win more games than not.
But Joyda, very...
The only other team to score a century partnership in this tournament is England. Just one other tournament. So think, these guys have got 3, and the rest of the team combined, the remaining 19 teams combined have got 1 century partnership.
Yes.
So that tells you how
that was just like 2 days ago.
Yeah,
so
that is just
so
a couple
late
of days
into the
ago.
World
Exactly.
Cup. Yeah.
So it tells you how well they played. And these two kids, Zadran and Gurbaz, the first thing is you look at the numbers and you suddenly look at them and you say they're 22 years old. I mean, they're that young. So that's the one thing, that because of the amount of cricket, they blood them very young. All these kids are playing, you know, 22, 23-year-olds have played 50, 60 matches, international matches. And these two have been actually, they're the same under-19 batch, the same part of the world, in the same state that they come from within Afghanistan. So they've played a lot of cricket together. So they know each
Gurbaz
other.
said they have the same hairstyle as well.
Yeah, the hairstyle as well. Yeah.
Yes, so he said that we know each other so well that if I feel I'm not feeling good today, I know that he's got my back and vice versa. So just had a lovely story, and we can see the comfort that they have together. When
it makes a difference. And I think that's the thing, that the important thing is that's why Trott would be slightly nervous, because they've done so well for them. They're almost talismans for their team. But they managed to win once at least with one of them not getting runs. I think against Nepal, I think they didn't have a partnership, but they still managed to get across. I think they have a lot of batting strength as well, because a lot of all-rounders, and they have the one thing that Bangladesh doesn't have. They have power all the way down. You know, all of them can whack it. And you look at Nabi, he's a proper bat. I mean, somebody who's played big bash cricket at the level he has been amazing.
Well, because we've done our first early morning show together, I want to do a little Saiyami factor with you all before we get to the joy factor. And this is about the president, our President Nabi, who's been around for Afghanistan cricket forever. He's been one of their veterans. So it's just quite an interesting stat that we pulled up from Cricbuzz. Is that
45 countries?
45, of course. Joy factor has to know it already.
45 countries or teams?
45 countries they've beaten.
45 countries that Nabi has beaten.
Yeah.
He's played against 45 countries.
So there's two two things up there. There's the British Empire and there's Muhammad Nabi. In terms of countries conquered, they're the two up there.
Michael, do you want to attempt?
So the 45
which are the 10 teams that he's played against, which he's won against?
Well, Australia, New Zealand. There's two. Papua New Guinea. I'm sure they've beaten them over the time. I'm sure they've beaten Oman at some time. Come on, Joy, help me out.
Yeah, look, go for the easy ones. There must be Nepal there somewhere. There must be Ireland there somewhere.
Yeah, Scotland.
Scotland, they would have played US a lot.
Netherlands.
They would have played UAE. Yes, Netherlands, they would have beaten UAE, Namibia. The guys, they'd be standard boys.
There are some countries which I hadn't heard about.
So they'll be...
Really?
Okay,
Yes.
Have they played Brazil?
There
okay,
you go.
There they are.
Jersey.
China.
Where's Jersey?
Jersey, actually, a friend of mine who I used to play with at Yorkshire's the coach there, a guy called Paul Hutchinson. I know a bit about Jersey. Jersey have been playing in. They had an away trip to Denmark last weekend. Got a good away win.
But just that list. I mean, there's this old saying, the sun never sets on the British Empire. Of course, you know the reason they gave for it, that God would never trust an Englishman in the dark. But that's not what it is. But the sun never sets on the countries that Muhammad Nabi has won against. So if you look at the time zones, they cover all the time zones. From China all the way to the Netherlands to all the way to the US. All time zones are covered by Muhammad Nabi.
But Joyda, the Cayman Islands and the Bahamas, do you have an account there?
I can tell you one thing. If they win today, the Afghan cricketers could have accounts anywhere in the world.
All right. I tried, but Mr. Joy Bhattacharya already knew all the 45 countries. He already knew their coaches. He knew the history of since when they've been playing. So I don't want to attempt this. Let's just have a look at the Joy Factor question of the day, and you can take it away, Joy.
Okay. This early in the morning, it's not easy. Okay. Which cricketer made his T20 international debut in a match in which his elder brother was playing alongside 3 other players whose brothers had also played international cricket? That means he's playing, his brother's playing, and there are 3 other players, I'm not saying all on the same side or the other side, whose brothers have also played international cricket. So it's a rare thing.
I know that Gilly got hit right away yesterday in yesterday's game. Michael, do you have any guesses at all, or it's too early to?
Yeah, but I think he has a couple of ideas. I'm sure he has quite strong.
It's too early to rack your brain on this, but we'll just quickly have a look at the teams again, just to remind you all that Afghanistan will be batting. They've gone ahead with an unchanged team, and we'll have a look at Bangladesh's team. They've gone ahead with 2 changes in their team, and they will be bowling first. So Afghanistan batting first. Should we do our predictions then?
Yeah.
I think we should, yeah.
How are the predictions going? I'm not.
Who won yesterday?
I don't know. I don't know who won. I don't know about yesterday's.
We've got the table, just to see if anyone's at the top.
Yeah, let's. Oh, PP and I and.
Well, have I gone down?
One second, where's my bullseye?
Let's have a look at it again.
And my bullseye. Oh, sorry. They're tricking us. They're just tricking us to see if we are sharp, because they want to check if we are sharp and see what's happening.
No, we'll do what they call a forensic audit on this. Clearly there's trouble out there. The books are being cooked.
No. Now they were just tricking us. Now the real graphic comes up.
Yes.
They wanted to see if you're awake. Clearly we are. When the prediction game comes
at the
on.
Top there, isn't there? We're all in it. So we've got a guess, yeah.
Wow, Michael's gone up.
Yeah.
Simon and Michael are there just fighting it out.
I'm going to start the predictions.
Go for it, yeah.
I'm going to say 140.
140. That's 148 has been the highest score here. This World Cup.
Yeah, but it's a winning. 140 is a winning score. They get it, they win it. I'm going to go slightly lower. I'm going to go 131.
131, 140. Well, I just want to say 144, and that will be a winning game, which means there will be no Australia in the semi-finals. That's my reason for 144. So we'll have a look and see if Afghanistan manage this, because not only are Australians rooting for Afghanistan to win, they are the new nice guys of cricket, aren't they? So I think they've just got a lot of fans who have woken up all across the world, especially in India, at 5:30 a.m. to watch Cricbuzz and see what Afghanistan do. We will be giving you all the updates at the 10 over point. If you all are still asleep and join us a little later, please do at the com box. We'll see you all there very soon.